Hello, welcome back to the HCCTV Student Lounge. This is a show done by HCC students for HCC students to give your opinions in news, entertainment, and what's going on in school. Hi, Carolina, how are you?
Hey guys, so good to see you again. We're also joined today by Josh, Chad, and Eric. And we will have two very special guests, John Stenvall and Dave Morales, who are here to talk about the BackstageOL. But first, let's move into some interesting facts for this summer edition. So first, as you most know, the Quiet Place 2 second part is crushing it. Its release date was May 28th of this year. And like CEO of IMAX said, The Quiet Place Part 2 is the first domestic release this year to cross the threshold from great opening weekend, given the pandemic. So this was so good news as the film industry is reopening. You know, after this pandemic, so many productions were on hold, and we're so excited to go to the theaters. I haven't gone yet. Have you, Kyle?
Unfortunately not, but I'm so excited for that.
I am as well. And so many other activities that you are going to start experiencing, just like baseball games, barbecues, going to the beach, and vacationing like Kyle is doing right now in Florida. Now, an activity that I recently did, it was visiting the Kima Boardwalk. It's open again and providing fun for everyone. It's located just 20 miles from downtown Houston, and it's home to fabulous waterfront restaurants, amusements, charming retail stores, festivals, and seaside shows every day. And the restaurants are now open for dine-in, so I highly encourage you to visit. But now let's begin our first topic, which makes way to a great discussion. So what are the different aspects of movie making and what's your favorite? How about you, Kyle?
So I'm so excited about this topic. As you guys know, I'm a filmmaker and videographer, and my favorite thing to do is shooting. You know, I've worked with like creating scripts, with production schedule. I've done a little bit of everything, and my favorite thing to do is bringing that creative to life. So I love using gimbals, which is the stabilizer for the camera. I love drones. You know, I can play all day with that and just create some really cool shots. I kind of like editing too, but since I have so much energy, sometimes for me it's really hard to stay home 14 hours like I've done before, editing nonstop. So I want to go around, I want to shoot stuff. So that's how I like. And when I say shooting, there's so many aspects to it. It's not just holding a camera. You know, you got to think about the lighting. You got to think about the sound. So all of that I like to take care of, you know, and people sometimes say, you do all that by yourself. And at the same time, I prefer bringing people with me because sometimes it's tough, especially when you're trying to direct, shooting, and audio, like it gets confusing. So at some point, guys, pay attention because, you know, I'm going to come up with a production company, so I may hire you guys. So you guys got to behave, okay? And show me your potential so I can hire you. So yeah, that's for me. Who's next?
Well, Kyle, that's so interesting because we make a great team. I'm behind, I like editing, and I have a graphic design background, so it's very easy for me to be sitting down working on the animations, motion graphics, and I love that over here at HCCTV, I had so much hands-on training, and it was mostly with you, Kyle. I remember you taught me so much, and I also love that part of filmmaking, but I'm strong in editing skills, so that's my strong skill. What about you, Eric?
Thank you, Caroline. I appreciate that. Me being a graduate with a film degree from HCC, I'm a big fan of screenwriting. I write a lot of scripts. I've written at least 10 scripts over the past few years, and I've shot a few of them myself in the short films, at least 3. But I want to get talking about big budget effects movies. It's a very complex process. There's pre-production, the principal photography, and post-production. And it's very complicated having visual effects, writers, stunt coordinators, and production designers all working under one big mantle. So the director and producer are in charge of them all. And movies like Constantine or I Am Legend or any big budget effects science fiction movie have a lot of people all working together. And doing this process, it's up to the filmmakers to make sure that it all works together, especially when it comes to editing. Editing is the best part, most important part of filmmaking at the very end. It all starts with a script, which is my specialty.
That's awesome to hear, Eric. And it's my turn now, which means you know what we're talking about yet again? That's right, it's animation. And actually, my favorite part of both the process for animation and regular movies is actually something they have in common, which is storyboarding, which for those who don't know is almost like setting up like small panels, like comic style of like, this is the shot, this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna have the actors interacting, this is the scenes that are doing. It's a really important process because it lets you plan everything out before you have to put in all of the work that it takes to either shoot a film or to animate a scene, which is, as Kaio and both Eric were talking about, takes a long, long time. And as Carolina will tell you, what the animating also takes a long, long time. So I just think storyboarding is one of the funnest parts of the process. And I think with that, in fact, to you, Carolina.
That's great, Chaz. Also, if you can tell us what you think over here at the student lounge, that would be also great. And now that we've heard from our crew, let's move on to our week's guest. So who do you have for today, Kaio?
So first of all, I wanted to say I'm so excited about this show because this is like such a great opportunity to have those people here. So we have Dave Morales. He's the co-owner of BackstageOL.com. And we also have John Stenvall, which is also co-owner of the BackstageOL.com. So first of all, how are you, Dave?
I am doing fantastic, and I just want to point out a couple of things. Number one, I love the enthusiasm that everybody has expressed, honestly, in the introductions that you just made a couple of minutes ago. My background is radio. then segued into television. We could talk about that if you'd like, but I've been in broadcasting for many years, and for me to see the enthusiasm and the interest that you all are showing just right now excites me, and it really truly does. The enthusiasm is fantastic.
Thank you so much, Dave. That makes us happy. We need to hear that. We definitely need to hear that. So, and you, John, how are you today?
I'm doing great. And like Dave was saying, I love hearing how the different aspects of what people love about filmmaking, like Eric when it comes to the screenwriting, and then Chaz with the like graphic design and animation of it all. For me personally, I just enjoy the production side of it. I love meeting talented people and then just putting them together and then letting them create their own masterpiece. So for me, I like just putting people together and letting them work. That's what I enjoy the most.
Yeah, that's a really cool part of, doing this type of interview with people, getting to know them. And I think that, knowing someone through the screen is completely different than knowing them in person. Some people are worse than we expect, which it's unfortunately, but a lot of the people, they're actually charismatic. They actually care about you. You can even become a friendship, which I think is really cool. And especially when it comes to talent, like I know that person, he or she is my friend. So that's pretty cool. So John, tell me about your background. Dave already shared with us a little bit about him. I want to hear from you. How did you even start there?
Yeah, so I went to University of Houston. I was studying finance and global energy. And so my original plan was to go into the oil and gas sector. But while I was doing all that, I was also running an independent record label here in town. And so that's how I actually met Dave. And we would go out, we'd go to concerts and shows, and we would network, and I'd meet all these people that are now, vice presidents and presidents of record labels. And when I went to graduate, it was right in April 2010, companies like Exxon had just laid off like 25,000 people. So there weren't a lot of jobs available in the oil and gas industry. So I stayed working in finance with what I was interning at. And then Dave and I had the opportunity to start this company in association with Fox. Fox doesn't own us, but we do have editorial freedom, and we do have a partnership with them. And that was in June of 2011. So this summer, we are celebrating 10 years of Backstage and BackstageOL. So it's been an incredible ride, and I've learned a lot in the process. So I've enjoyed it.
That's awesome. Congratulations for the milestone. I know it was a lot of hard work. I can see how much you've been working. We talk a lot. You always like up, late night, trying to get everything done. But I want to know, how would you describe BackstageOL.com? Because you guys do so much. You guys do productions. You guys do interview. You guys kind of act like press. So what would be the best description for BackstageOL.com?
Well, I think Dave can expand a little bit on this, but one thing I would say is Dave and I were really tired of seeing entertainment journalism and entertainment news just being about like celebrity gossip and like tabloid, like paparazzi based type stuff. And so we wanted to create a new platform to where we kind of expanded beyond that. We're actually talking about the films. We're talking about the projects these people are working on. We don't care who they were hanging out with at Nobu last night, for example, or Kim. We don't care if Kim Kardashian tripped on Rodeo Drive. You know, we care about actually talking about these projects. And like we were talking to Jamie Foxx, for example, for the movie Just Mercy. And he said it was the most profound movie he ever worked on because of the prison reform and everything, the messaging of that movie. And so being able to like bring those type of elements to life and be able to share that with the public instead of just the tabloid type gossip, that's what we were about, was shifting the narrative of entertainment news.
That's really cool. And at the same time, like, Dave, I want you to talk a little bit more about this. So how are the interviews? What exactly are you guys looking for it?
You know, I worked in radio I started in radio. I'm from Houston originally. Went to Texas Tech. I was on the college radio station there. Then I went to, that's in Lubbock. Then I went to Mississippi briefly. Then I broke into the big markets, San Francisco, Los Angeles. I worked at KISS FM in Dallas. Most recent radio stop was KRBE here in Houston, Texas. Then I moved into television when American Idol was on Fox. They wanted a DJ to recap the episodes, the music perspective of it. So I did that for a couple of years, and then that's when Fox approached us to expand and partner with us to do an entertainment show. I never knew this world existed, that they actually had people, normally before the pandemic and after the pandemic, we'll be traveling again. Normally we travel to these locations, be it London, I've been all over the world, Rome, Hong Kong, doing interviews, Los Angeles, New York. The interviews, like for example, today, the day that we're filming this particular episode with you all, I'm actually right now filming interviews for the Fast and the Furious 9, F9. So I just talked to John Cena about an hour ago. In about 30 minutes from when we're recording this, I'm talking to Jordana Brewster. Tomorrow I'm talking to Vin Diesel. So they're called junkets, Kaio. And it's an opportunity for the actors and ourselves, being journalists, select journalists. I mean, this is a very small group around the country. There are other journalists that cover it, be it for, Entertainment Tonight, Extra, other big markets like New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, that are invited by the studios to talk with these actors and actresses. The cool thing about it, Kaio, is that we've gained a relationship with a lot of these actors. I've talked to John Cena today, for example, when I talked to him. This is about the fifth time I've talked with him, and he's always great. You build a rapport with these actors, actresses, and you talk about the things like John said that they want to talk about, their projects. But then we also, we do get a little personal, not gossip, but we do ask questions about like, hey, what are you doing this summer? Did you bake sourdough during the pandemic? That kind of stuff. And it's always fun to have those conversations. I will say one thing real quick. I've done several interviews throughout my career, both on radio. I've interviewed Snoop Dogg. I've interviewed a lot. I'm not trying to name drop, but several people. So now in television, that field for me has expanded. I've interviewed a ton of actors and actresses. Like, well, you know that, Kaio. But the legends are the ones that really kind of get into my head and really freak me out, make me geek out and get me a little nervous. Just yesterday, I talked with Rita Moreno, and she's got a documentary coming out about her life. And I will tell you that it was one of the most exciting interviews that I've ever done. She opened up about her past with me and just getting to know her. Super person. I can't wait for the world to see that interview. But those are the moments for me that really shine. We love doing this, Kaio. You mentioned we work around the clock. We love doing this. It's exciting for us, and we hope that it's exciting for everybody that watches our coverage. It's just as exciting for them.
And I gotta brag a little bit about Dave real quick, because he's pretty humble when it comes to his bio, but he was a pivotal role in the West Coast hip hop industry during the 90s with Tupac, Biggie. I know Biggie was East Coast, but Dave actually got to work and know all those guys. And so, Dave's being able for me to work with Dave, I see him as a mentor, and I recommend all you students out there, definitely go out and find a mentor that can bring you up, to that next level. Because it's one thing to be 24 years old and try to go up to a company and maybe like a record label, for example. A lot of times you'll be at the very bottom with the people you're trying to meet. But to be 24 years old and have somebody like Dave and be able to walk in and go straight to the vice president's office and then be brought up on that level and seen as an individual on the same level, it's key. So I highly recommend not just getting a good internship, but finding a mentor as well is pivotal for your career.
Thank you, John, and thank you for aging me. And no, I'm playing. But thank you
can
for
now
the
Venmo me the 500. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. No, but thanks for the kind words. But John pointed out something, Kyle, that I do want to add to that. Just expand it just a little bit if I can. This is a business of what you know. Of course, editing is very important. Production skills are very important. That's why I encourage people watching this right now to learn as much as you can. But it is also a business, a huge business of who you know. And it's a huge networking. Entertainment is a huge industry with not a lot of people at the core of it. So it is an industry of who you know, the connections that help you. Like nobody knew who we were before everybody in music did know who I was because of where I worked. But when we started covering movies, you can't just show up one day and says, I want to interview John Cena for F9. It doesn't happen that way. But
there's only 4 publicists, like really 4 publicists that run over 90% of Hollywood actors. I mean, that's how the higher you go up on the pyramid, the smaller the circles get.
Wow, that's really impressive. And that was actually going to be my question. What studios or streaming companies do you guys have partnership, and how do you guys even create the partnership? You know, because it's crazy to see how many movies and shows and like different productions. So like, how do you guys even get to this point?
We work with everybody. Warner Brothers, Disney,
Netflix, Apple,
Amazon,
Paramount.
And again, like what we've talked about, a second ago, it's building those relationships with the studios. They're very selective of who they invite to speak with their talent. I don't think they're going to want somebody that's going to, for lack of a better term, trash their movies. If you don't like, and they're not telling us to like everything that we see. Okay. I want to make that clear because I am a critic. I'm a member of the Critics' Choice Awards, that group, a national organization. We have the Critics' Choice Awards. We're one of the precursor to the Oscars. So I vote, and I don't like everything that I see, but I will tell you this, Kyle, I appreciate the work and the energy that has gone in to each and every one of those productions. There are people who have dedicated their entire lives, who started at a school, a college like you all, and have grown their careers to actually get the opportunities to work on these large films. So I know the energy that it's taken for them to work on these films, and I appreciate it. Now, that being said, I'm not saying give an Oscar to everybody that just made a movie. Otherwise, this desk behind me would be filled with a ton of Oscars because John and I have done silly films. That was a joke. But I appreciate what people go through to get there, and that's what I look at. Not every movie is for everyone, and that's why when I'm on TV, our television partner here in Houston is Fox 26. A lot of times when I'm on the air, I will say, look, this is an indie type movie. It's probably not going to be for everyone. Or if it's like, a hard R rating, I do tell people probably don't take the kids, or it may not be for everybody. Those are the kinds of things that I talk about when I review films. There are bad movies, no doubt, but I want everybody to know that I appreciate the work that has gone into every film that we cover.
And one thing that I also think is really cool is that you guys get to watch the movie before anyone else has watched it, before release. So tell me, I want you both to answer this question. How does it feel? Because I want to have this experience,
It's cool. It's fun, like Kaio said, a lot of times we watch these movies. Sometimes we see them at world premieres, before the whole pandemic happened. And we'll probably be doing that again soon, I would say in the next few months. But if not that, sometimes we watch them at home. Sometimes we watch them in the theater before they're out. It's fun. People are always interested when I'm flying home on a flight and I'm like editing a piece, say with like George Clooney or something like that. And they're like, whoa, like that, like, did you just talk to him, or did Dave just talk to him? And people always ask questions about that, but it's fun, it's exciting. I would say the hardest part is like having to have conversations with your friends, because you want to, like, you see a movie and then you can't tell anybody anything for a month, or if it's like A Quiet Place Part 2, we had to wait like 16 months before we actually even got to talk about it. So that's tough, Or when my friends are finally talking about it, and I'm like, yeah, that was like 8 movies ago because it just now came out. That's always interesting. But I enjoy it. I mean, it's cool to get to see them before they come out. It's fun.
Yeah, the hardest thing is not spoiling it. In fact, just talking with you today, I've had to keep a couple of things in mind when I mentioned some titles. I'm like, wait a minute, I better be careful about what I say. The funniest thing is talking with actors that have the storylines. You know, Tom Holland is notorious, and I've talked to him several times. In fact, one interview that I had with Tom, he had just been busted for revealing a plot point of a movie he was in. And it was a big Marvel movie. And when I talked to Tom, we were in London. It was for Spider-Man, and he giggled and laughed. And he looked at me, he goes, Dave, I don't know what I could say. I got to be real careful. I've already gotten in trouble a couple of times today for revealing plot points. But you know, that is something, you know, that's cool about it is, yeah, we do see him early. We have to in order to you know, to talk with the cast about these films. That's a cool thing. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, that's something that I've been my whole life. I thought about. I was like, damn, it would be so cool if I could actually watch something before anyone. But I never thought about this, the fact that I cannot share with anyone. So I think that's tough. You know, you see something really cool, but you got to keep for yourself. Sometimes for 16 months. You know, I would probably forget by the time that the show or the movie release. I would probably have forgot already. We need to rewatch again. But that's really, really cool. I want to talk about the partnership now that BackstageOL.com has with HCCTV, right, Carolina? Carolina makes part of this too, and I want to share my experience. And, you know, as John said, it's really cool to be working with people that had such influence on people that make movies, talents, directors, and not just good for network, but also to get to know how you guys do that. Because as you can see, we like to be in front of the camera. We like to do interviews. And it must be challenging to do an interview with a talent because sometimes you get nervous. No, oh my God, this person is here right now, you know. So that's really, really, really interesting. And of course, the other part of it is doing the editing. I was editing Those Who Wish Me Dead with Angelina Jolie, and I never thought, like, I'm editing an interview with Angelina Jolie. That's just like insane. And I was so excited about it. I put on my stories, like my friends like, I can't believe, whoa, this is so cool. You're going so far, man. So, you know, I felt really proud of myself and so happy with this partnership. And I would like, now, Carolina, can you share how was the experience? You can be true. If you don't like, you can say here, okay? I will let you do that.
No, it has been fascinating. So just like you, I got so excited when they gave me the first package, and this famous people, I couldn't believe I was in my computer editing and having their faces there where they could mess up. They were so casual about it. And also, as I told John, the last package I worked on, how the behind scenes are, and I get to see like how you break a glass and it's not an actual glass, and you told me it was a candy. So that for me, like the production, it's so amazing. So getting to learn all of this and apply the skills that we learned from HCCTV with them is amazing. And I'm so happy to be working with you guys.
Thank you. We love having you. And I'll jump in real quick because actually I am about to leave to go talk with Jordana Brewster, but a couple of things since we're talking behind the scenes. I want to show you guys something. This is a little trick that I did from my radio days. So when I was on the radio, I always had the microphone here, and then the desk was in front of me, and then I always did bullet points. People that are watching this right now, little tip that I'm going to give you. It's worked for me for years. But where I do like for example, this is, I don't know if you can see it, but that's the John Cena interview. So I do all the bullet points there, and it's all the stuff that I wanted to get through, and I did get through it with John Cena. Little trick of the trade. That's
write
something.
The entire question out. If you try to write the entire question out, you're gonna get stuck because you're gonna try to like memorize it word for word, and you won't be able to move forward in the interview. You want it to feel natural. So like Dave was saying, do the bullet points. And don't overthink it. Just let it feel natural. These people are just people like you and I. I know a lot of, because people haven't spent a lot of time with them, they put people up on a pedestal. When it comes down to it, they're just individuals like you and I, and they just want to have a normal conversation as well.
And that being said, I'm going to run because Jordana Brewster is waiting for me on the other side. I'm going to let John answer more about the partnership. I will just say that we are thrilled to have Carolina and Caio with us. They are shining stars. And Caio, before I leave, I will tell you right now, I promise you, you will be in a movie, one of our screenings before the rest of the world. So I love that he's already excited. So you can experience it because it is a cool thing. But yeah, Jordana Brewster's waiting, and John, take it.
All right.
David, thanks so much for being here. That was an awesome interview. I see you.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Yeah, and let me just wrap this up by saying I was lucky enough to have an incredible internship. When I mentioned I worked in finance for a little bit, I was interning when I was working in college. And the cool thing is, like, I got to see every single little part of the company, whether I was working with the CFO of the company or like on more of the ground floor level. You get to see a little bit of everything. And instead of running and getting coffee and filing and doing all those other errands that my other fellow students were doing. And so that's what I wanted to create with our internship, make it very immersive. Everyone gets to have a part and a say in the conversation and goes back and forth. And then to give y'all the tools to be able to sharpen like your own skill sets as well. And so I think it's just a win-win. I learn from y'all as much as y'all are learning from me. It's a win-win across the board. And I'm just thankful for this partnership with HCC. Y'all are amazing.
Awesome, John. Thank you so much for being here today. And again, this was a really exciting topic, especially for all the students here, because we all filmmakers, we all work with this, and seeing people there, you know, out there doing, that's awesome. And we're going to move on to the next topic. And again, thank you so much, John, for being here. And I will see you this week on the Zoom meeting.
That's it. All right. Bye, guys.
That was fascinating to hear. Thank you both for your time. And as you all know, we also covered things that are entertaining to watch. So what shows are out, guys, that you want to talk to us about?
So I would like to talk about Entourage. I think that's how you say it. I recently watched the movie, and then I decided to watch the show, and I'm doing that right now. So the show talks about the four main characters. They are like friends, but one is the main actor of movies, and the other one is like a producer. The other one's like an agent, and the other one just, you know, stay with them. And what I like about it, it's because it showed the behind the scenes of a production of a movie. So they show the relationship between agents and the politics behind, and it's really funny too. So I love when they show reality with comedy, and it's incredible show. It's on HBO, so make sure you check it out.
When you think of the highest rated movies of all time, you might think of something like The Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, The Godfather, or things along those lines. But you might not think of Paddington 2. Yes, that's right, Paddington 2, based off of the old fictional bear from the kids' novels. Now, you might be thinking, how is that the highest rated movie of all time? It might be like Citizen Kane or something like that. Actually, a couple weeks ago, an old movie review from, I believe it was the 1940s, resurfaced online, and it was a negative review of Citizen Kane, which bumped it down on Rotten Tomatoes' all-time movie list. And when something goes down, something has to go up. And in this case, it was Paddington 2. So people, if you've ever just wanted to see the world's greatest movie of all time, it's right there. It's Paddington 2. What more is there to say?
Hey, that's very interesting, Josh. I want to speak about a movie called Jumper. It's in my top 5 movies of all time that I like. It's a science fiction concept in a world where there are what's called jumpers, people who can teleport or transport to any part of the world that they want at any time they want. And they are hunted by what's called pilotons. The movie stars Hayden Christensen and Sam Jackson, who were both in Star Wars, amazingly. And it's directed by Paul Greengrass or Doug Liman, who was the director of Bourne series. But it's very good. There's action, there's drama, and it has 4 concepts. It has the anti-hero, a hero, villain, and a strong female. So all that you want in a movie. But again, great action, very interesting fight scenes. I love it. And if you're a fan of science fiction, it's your kind of thing.
All right, that was super interesting. And now I want to talk about my favorite movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think this is one of the movies that Sony Pictures done the best at. And one of the favorite things is I really think they broke the boundaries with what 3D animation is known for, but can also do. I feel like a lot of other movies have really just kind of been lazy a little bit with their 3D animation. And I was really impressed with everything that Sony did.
Thanks, Chaz. Well, guys, it's the time of the day to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching us, and I see you next week.
Also, don't forget to send us your opinion and send us topics that you would like to discuss. See you next time on the Student Lounge.